Hi, this is Chuck at Kodabow, and today I'd like to talk about dangerous game and crossbows hunting dangerous game and a few considerations. One of the things in dangerous game hunting, let's say rifles, is you really want to make sure the rifle shoots. So consequently, you'll see hunters, there's a system in like a bolt action rifle called controlled feed. It really grasps that cartridge and moves it in and out so there's no opportunity for mishap. Much better than push feed when you're hunting dangerous game. There's some things on a Kodabow that kind of really connect up with dangerous game hunting, and I'd like to show you some of those. Number one is if you look at our anti-dry fire system, if you're in a situation and you absolutely need to have that bow to shoot, this anti-dry fire system where when you load an arrow, this little lever drops and tells you the bow's ready to shoot. You've got that visual verification. That is really key in a dangerous game situation, because if you're out there in the bush and the arrow slides forward a little bit, you may think you're ready to shoot, but you're not. So visually, right before you take a shot, you can check your anti-dry fire position, a lever, and this indicates that the bow's ready to fire. So having the bow shoot when you're ready to have it shoot is key. Now this is one of our standard Bravo Zulu bows. It's been shot a lot. Great whitetail, black bear bow, a standard 410 grain arrow, perfect. But when you get into dangerous game, you're going to load up an arrow, you're going to use a heavy, this is a field point on it, but a couple 100 grain field point. An arrow could weigh somewhere 650 to even up to 1,200 grains. We have been successful with our product. Last year a gentleman killed a hippo with a pass-through shot, 2 pass-through shots with a Kodabow bow. So what are some of the implications there? Number one, shoot a heavy arrow. An arrow 650, 800 grains, 900 grains. Well, our bows love heavy arrows. So you're going to see, it's just not kinetic energy, it's momentum. Kinetic energy equation always squares velocity. Momentum takes into account really just 2 things, the weight of the arrow and the speed of the arrow. And when you get a heavy arrow going, it doesn't slow down very quickly when it starts going through tissue. So the big thing is heavy arrows. Standard Kodabow arrow, 410 grains. Dangerous game arrow, 900 grains. A lot of weight. Now one thing that's unique on a Kodabow is if you look at this bow here, which is a dangerous game version, we've done something kind of interesting. We've just gone ahead and really stacked up a second set of limbs on the bow. And this gives the front set of limbs tremendous energy. And it's interesting because it's not really kind of a new concept in that the Penobscot Indians, there's some Indian bows where they made arrangements to kind of put additional limbs on a bow for more power. Well, this is a bow that will shoot every time. It will unleash a tremendous amount of energy, foot-pounds, 125, 150, foot-pounds of energy. But more important, it's simple. There's very few moving parts. We have this anti-dry fire lever that's going to tell us when the bow's ready to shoot, and that's terrific. Now there is a theory in bows that, hey, your bow can be your trusted friend. It's your ally, it's out hunting. But however, it's almost a watchful enemy too. And what I mean by that is if your bow, if you slight your bow in the slightest way, it can become an enemy for you. And what do I mean by that? You start shooting a bow with maybe a tattered string or something like that, it can come back and bite you and have an event. No more is that more important than when you're hunting dangerous game. So when you've got a dangerous game bow, you go over everything just as you would with a rifle if you're facing a Cape Buffalo or a hippo or something like that. You're going to check everything out very carefully. Couple things, much more energy in the bow. I've put a second serving over top the bowstring here, again, because it's going to be out there maybe days and days. We're out chasing a Cape Buffalo. So I double served it again, just as an additional measure to ensure full function. So we'll take a pretty heavy arrow here, load it on the bow. Again, even on this arrow, for example, in this manufacturer, there's a little aluminum footing on the front to further reinforce the arrow, and it's a pretty thick balled arrow. So I'm going to go ahead and load the arrow. In she goes, my anti-dry fire goes. A lot of energy. A little loud in our warehouse area here, but I'm going to go ahead and put the bow to fire and launch it into a target, and it's a tremendous release of energy, but baby, this won't stop. Boom. Dangerous game. Take care out there. Thank you for your interest.